So codes, uh, all the code changes we do on the daily basis. So those changes we push to Git.
Can you tell me what is the difference between Git and GitHub?
Git and GitHub. Okay. So Git is a tool that tracks the changes in the code locally on our computer, and GitHub we can say it is like on cloud. Like whatever we do the changes locally, so when it is on cloud, so that thing we say as GitHub. I think GitHub like a social network for the code, so it lets me share my work with others, collaborate, and even contribute to open source projects also. Okay. So Git we can say is the version control system, and GitHub is the service for hosting that and managing repositories. So yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. So what is Git stash? Why we use that? Have you ever used that?
yeah, Git test I have used. So like whenever I'm working on a feature and suddenly suppose I need to switch to another branch, okay, and my changes are not ready, and like right now I cannot commit, okay, and I also have to switch and work on the different branch. So in that case, to save my work temporarily, I can use git stash. Okay, so it basically temporarily saves my uncommitted changes, and it will kind of clean my working directory so that I can switch to the different branch and I can there continue my work, and I can like commit and push. And later on, suppose again we come back to this previous branch, so there we can just say git stash pop, so that will bring up the changes back, and we can further continue working on that, and once it is done we can further commit and push. So yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. So what is rebase? Why we use that?
Yeah, rebase we used to integrate changes from one branch to another branch and to make it cleaner, like commit history. So history will be kind of cleaner when we use that.
Okay, can you tell me one scenario?
Yeah, let's say I'm working on any feature branch, and suppose the team is updating the main branch only somehow. Okay, so suppose I want to include those updates to my work. So in that case, I can just say like git checkout and that feature branch, and then we can say git fetch origin and then git rebase origin main. Okay, so this will ultimately give me the latest one, and on top of that I can continue my work. So this will be like uh, the the commit history will be kind of linear and easier to read by avoiding any unnecessary merge and comment conflicts. So yeah.
Okay, so when do you get the conflict and how do you resolve it? Basically, when does this occur?
Yeah, conflict like in Git is usually that happens when suppose two or more people make the changes on the same line or a file, or when one person edits a file and another person is deleting or something like that. Okay, so basically Git gets confused in that case about like which changes to keep, because it has the changes from the both of the person. Okay, so for example, let's say I'm working on any X branch, and at the same time my any teammate makes a changes to the main branch, and if both of us modify the same line in a file and then try to merge uh, their branch to the main branch, so Git will throw a conflict because it cannot decide whose changes to keep. Okay, so that time this conflict arises. So basically we can see like forward slash equal to and like greater than symbol and less than symbol, so like that we can see. So basically uh, between that whatever the things are there, so that is the conflict it denotes. And those conflicts we have to basically uh, we have to manually edit the lines, and we can choose which changes to keep, or even combining them if needed. Okay, then I remove the conflict markers, like whatever the greater than less than symbols has been generated. And yeah, so after that we can further commit and push our code.
Okay, so in Java 8, what kind of features you have implemented?
Yeah, there are many features in Java 8. So we have a functional interface, Lambda expression, default and static keyword. Then we have optional class. Uh, then we have datetime API. We have stream API. So all these are there.
Okay, what things you know about stream APIs? So what you have worked with respect to that?
Yeah, stream API we can say like it's a like modification of the collection object, or it's like a pipeline. So like suppose we have the list of objects, and any kind of modification, if we want to filter, if we want to change that to something else. So those kind of things if we want to perform on that data, then we can use stream. So suppose any list is there, and on top of that we can apply stream, and further after that we can have various intermediate operations, like we can have filter, map, distinct or sorted. So this can be there. And also after that, once we have performed the intermediate operations, then we can also perform terminal operations after that, like for each is there, collect, count, right? So we can apply all of them, and we can get the result out of it. So yeah, this is what is the stream API.
Stream API uses lazy evaluation or eager evaluation. You know what is lazy evaluation or eager evaluation with respect to Stream API?
um yeah, so lazy evaluation, basically stream API uses lazy evaluation actually. So it means that suppose we have any list, and then we say stream, and after that any operation like filter or map we are applying. So as soon as we write this filter or map, it is not executed until the terminal operations like collect or for each or anything is called. So it will only be called, the operations will be called once we apply the terminal operation. Okay, so basically this can help improve performance. Okay, because operations are not applied. Operations are only applied whenever it is necessary, not like just when we are saying stream.map and it won't apply, it won't start calculating immediately after that. So yeah.
Okay, so have you used array list, linked list, and hash set in your project?
Yeah, I have used them.
Okay, can you tell me the scenarios when we should use this array list, linked list, and hash set?
Yeah, sure. So array list is a dynamic array implementation of list interface basically. So whenever we have the scenario like we want frequent access of elements, whenever we want to quickly getting the data, then we should go for the array list. And we should not use this whenever our objective is to insertion or deletion, or in the middle of the list or something like that, then we should not use it. So that's about the array list. Then linked list is a underlying structure is doubly linked list uh, for that linked list. So we should use it whenever our main goal is the frequent insertion and deletion. Okay, so if our application requires like frequently we are adding, removing the data in the middle or end or anywhere. Okay, so linked list is the one which we should use. But we should not use this to access it using index. Okay, so accessing is very much slower in this case. Okay, then coming to hash set. So hash set is like, so as we know, the set means that it will be adding the unique data. So if our requirement is to that uh, we need to store the collection of elements where duplicates are not allowed and the order does not matter. Okay, so then hash set is more efficient option. So yeah, so these are the scenarios when we should use this.
Okay, so how hash set ensures that there are no duplicate items are getting added?
Yeah, so in hash set, so every object in Java has a method called hash code basically. So that returns an integer value that is used to determine whether the object should be stored in the hash table. Okay, so actually the hash code will be generated and in the bucket we will be having based on this hash code it will be decided whether that data should be inserted to the, I mean, some specific bucket or not. So when an element is added to hash set, its hash code is computed and the set tries to insert it at the corresponding index in the hash table. Okay, and after computing that hash code, so hash set checks if there are already element with the same hash code at that position. If multiple elements have the same hash code, or basically this situation is called hash collision. So hash set uses the equals method to determine if the elements are identical, like if they are at the same object in the term of like their different content. Okay, so if the equals method returns true, so it means that object is duplicate and the new element is not added. And if equals method returns false, or if no element with the same hash code exists, the element is added to the set. So yeah, so that is how I mean uh, the duplication is managed in the hash set.
Okay, what are the design patterns you are aware of?
Yeah, design patterns, singleton, then factory, then abstract factory, then builder, then we have adapter. So yeah, so these are the ones which I am aware of.
Okay, so you have worked on all of these.
Yeah, I mean not all, but like few of them I have worked, like builder, factory, abstract factory. So mostly I have worked on these.
So can you tell me what is the purpose of using these design patterns? Why we actually use these design patterns?
Yeah, design patterns are like we can say they are kind of proven or tested solutions, we can say, like which has been used by over the time by the big organizations and all to maintain their all code base. So in real world they have been used and they have been proven, like there are the chances of introducing bugs will be very much less. So whenever we use these design patterns, then it is also easy to use the code, and maintaining of the code is also becomes very much easier, and also we can scale it, right? So it will uh, like support the scalability of the code. Okay, so yeah, so these are the reasons why we should go for the design patterns.
Okay, and how about microservices design patterns?
Microservices, yeah, so API gateway pattern is there, and then saga design pattern is there, circuit breaker design pattern is there, then service discovery also. So yeah, so these are the design patterns in microservices are there.
Okay, so in collections, what are the differences between enumeration and iterator?
Enumeration and iterator.
Yes.
Enumeration, I think enumeration is the older way of uh, I mean older way of doing the iteration. So it was introduced, I think, 1.0 itself, so it is the legacy one. And iterator was introduced after that, I think 1.2 or something. So both can only move forward. Enumeration can only have the read access, and iterator will have the read and remove both. By using elements method of like if we have vector hash table, right? So I mean the older ones, the older classes whichever we have, so for those we can use enumeration. Okay, but I mean the later on in the collection like list, set and queue, so for them actually we can use a list iterator basically. And we also have list iterator actually that we can use for list, so it has more number of methods. So yeah, so this is the difference between these two.
So which one is universal iterator?
Yeah, iterator is the one. Yeah, that is the universal way of iterating.
Okay. Okay, what is the difference between concurrent hash map and synchronized map?
Yeah, so basically synchronized map, we have the lock on the object level. Okay, and in case of a concurrent hash map, the lock is applied at the segment level. Basically, we have the I mean some list of buckets, right? So whenever the we start creating the map, then we will have the some set of buckets. So initially it will be like 16, right? So the lock is applied only at the bucket level in case of the concurrent hash map. Okay, so like whenever any update is happening to that specific bucket, then only lock will be applied to that specific bucket. But the multiple reading can happen at the same time. I mean multiple threads can read in case of concurrent hash map. Okay, so basically both are thread safe, but this is the main difference. Okay, then we have fast performance, we can say, for concurrent hash map, since multiple threads can read at the same time, but synchronized map will be little bit slower compared to the concurrent hash map. So yeah, so this is the difference.
Okay. And what is the difference with respect to null key and values in these two?
Yeah, the main difference is with respect to null key. I think null key and multiple null values are allowed in case of synchronized map, but in case of concurrent hash map, null keys and values are not allowed.
Okay, so in solid principles, What is S stands for?
Yeah, S stands for single responsibility principle.
Okay, what is it? Can you explain?
Yeah, single responsibility principle means a class should have only one responsibility. So, for example, let's say we have a class called employee. Then that employee class should have only employee related things. Okay. So, for example, like its employee name, ID, or I mean those are the variables, but like methods, whatever it has. Uh, let's say we have to calculate the pay of the employee, right? So that method can be there, and number of leaves, and all approval status. So all those are the employee related things, so that can be there. But suppose in that employee we have something like some, let's say, OTP service or loan service or something like that is there. So that is not the I mean that is not, those methods should not be there basically into the employee class. They should not be the part of that. So only employee related things should be there. So if we have to say like some other services, then we can use other class and all. So yeah, so that's what S stands for.
And how about L?
Yeah, L stands for Liskov substitution principle. So that says that basically if class A is a subtype of class B, then we should be able to basically replace B with A without like interrupting the behavior of the program. Okay, so let's say we have a like WhatsApp extends social media. Okay, if we are doing like this, then social media extend WhatsApp should also be true, and that should not change the behavior of that. So yeah, so that's the meaning of that Liskov substitution principle.
Okay, okay. Okay, what is garbage collection and how it works in Java?
Yeah, garbage collection in Java is a process by which JVM automatically deallocates the memory that is no longer in use, and it frees up the resources to avoid any kind of memory leaks. So basically, Java has the heap memory, and there all objects are created, right? So that heap memory is divided into young generation, old generation, and permanent generation. So when objects are created, they are allocated in the young generation. So over the time, as objects are no longer needed, so they get moved to the old generation, and eventually the garbage collector reclaim that memory. So basically, like young generation is the first where objects are created. Okay. So again, they are also again further that spaces are divided into Eden space and survivor space. So some minor garbage collection happens here at the young generation, and if the objects still survive there, then in that case it is moved to the old generation. Okay, so if objects survive multiple garbage collection cycles by young generation, then they are moved to old generation. The major garbage collection occurs at old generation only. So like uh, this is more expensive and that takes longer because it involves cleaning of the old generation. And then we have like meta space, as I said, like, so this area stores the metadata about the classes and methods in our application. So if class loading is not handled properly, so this area can lead to out of memory due to excessive memory consumption.
Okay, so what differences has been introduced between metaspace and permgen?
Yeah, meta space was before Java 8, and
Permgen has been introduced
um,
in Java 8 or metaspace?
uh, Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the meta space has been introduced in Java 8. So before it used to be a permanent generation. So that was the part of a heap memory. But now in Java 8, it is part of native memory. So that is outside of the heap basically. So basically, this means that this is no longer managed within the heap by the JVM garbage collector. So in POMGen, the size was fixed or set by JVM options like -xx and max pump size and all, and we used to give the size. But in Metaspace, the memory management is like kind of more flexible, and since it is stored in the native memory, so it dynamically grows as needed. So the size it can take as much as needed. I mean, it can take up to maximum where the I mean the JVM has been installed. So yeah, this is the difference between these two.
Okay, can you tell me about what is at the rate of Spring Boot application annotation?
This at the rate of Spring Boot application annotation consists of basically three another annotations, that is at the rate of configuration, enable auto configuration, and at the rate of component scan. Okay, so at configuration, it is a class level annotation, so that means the class can be used by IOC container as a source of bean definition, so that we put whenever any, let's say, any app config class is there, so on top of that we can um, give add date of configuration, and there all the beans will be there. So yeah, so that is the purpose of add date of configuration. Then we have add date of enable auto configuration, so that auto configures the bean that are present in the class path basically, so that this simplifies the developers work by guessing the required beans from the class path, and that configures it from the application. Okay, so for example, let's say if we have tomcat embedded jar in the class path, okay, then we will be needing the tomcat embedded servlet container factory and all that, right? So all those beans will be required to configure the tomcat server, correct? So this will be simply searched and configured within any manual XML configurations. Okay, so that is the use of the enable auto configuration. Then coming to add data component scan, so that scans a package and all of its sub packages looking for the classes that could be automatically registered as a bean, okay, in the Spring container. So that is the use of add data component scan. So yeah.
Have you worked on Actuator?
Yeah, actuator, yeah, I have worked on that. So so basically, actuator provides the built-in some URLs are provided by them, and those endpoints are used to monitor and manage application. So it gives insights into the application health matrix means. So all these are the URLs are there. Okay, so info and actuator are the default, and then we have health. So that is like uh, uh, we can just say status is up or down, so that we can give using health. And then beans, when we give, so all beans with the scope class etc, that will be that can be seen. And then loggers are there, so that shows the and modifies the configuration of loggers in the application. And then matrix is there. So and then we have trace environment, so all these URLs we have. So yeah.
Okay, suppose we have an URL, okay, or we have a Spring Boot application in which we have we have get operation, which is get message comments or something, okay, and we say get message comments and user ID equal to 1, and then again we put ampersand and message ID equal to 5, and let's say again ampersand comment ID equal to 1, Okay, so we have something like this. So do you think this can be improved?
Sorry, I did not get your question. So we have one URL with get message.
Yes, the traditional way we have get masses and ampersand of user ID equal to 1, then again ampersand, you know ampersand symbol, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So ampersand of user ID equal to 1 and ampersand message ID equal to any number 5 and ampersand of comment ID equal to 1. Okay, so can this be improved in new way of writing the REST APIs using Spring Boot?
Uh, yeah, I think we can use like path parameter. So instead of ampersand, you can just say users, then forward slash, then one, and then forward slash again messages. So then give like whatever the message ID is there, and then comment ID, and then forward slash again that comment ID we can give. So that way we can do, that will be the better way instead of using ampersand.
Okay, okay, good. Yeah. Okay, can you explain me in very brief how the microservices works? Like getting the request to serving the response, the whole flow.
Yeah, sure. Like whenever uh, the client is sending any request, so that request can be either through the mobile application or directly the, if any web application is there, then through the that URL can be there. Okay, so any HTTP request can be there. Okay, so after that we have a common API gateway. So where like any microservices we need to call, so it goes through that API gateway. Okay, so like that has again load balancers and all. Okay, so that is abstraction layer for the client. So in that API gateway, uh, after that once we make the call, I mean then further it goes to the Eureka server. Okay, so at Eureka server, like we further we um, I mean the whatever the suppose multiple microservices will be there, so all the dynamic URLs of those microservices will be registered to this Eureka server. Okay, so once API gateway calls that specific URL, then that dynamic address is provided to the API gateway, and then that API gateway I mean further gets the information from by calling that specific microservices. Okay, so it will be like let's say HTTP any localhost 8081 or whatever it may be. So there will be multiple microservice can be there, so it will be calling that microservice again. There are the chances that microservices uh, alone is not calculating the result, so and that is dependent on some different microservice. So again, between the microservices there can be a different ways of communication, like it can be asynchronous, synchronous, or it can be through the message queue. Okay, so like active queue and Kafka and all. So based on that it gets the information back, and then further the information goes back to the API gateway, and then it further goes to the client, like such TP response is given back to the calling client. So yeah, so this is what is the whole process and how microservices works.
Okay, what is Spring Profiles?
Spring profiles are a way to manage environment specific configuration. So there can be different environments, like we can have a dev, QA, production, testing environment and all, right? So uh, whenever we can maintain different settings for dev, test or production environment, such as the database URL can be different for the all these environments, and like, even the logging levels can be different, and even the external API keys, so all those things can be different for different environment. So for that purpose we use this, and it is like it simplifies the deployment by allowing us to switch environment using a simple configuration change, so we don't have to do lots of many changes at multiple places. So just we can have the multiple properties or YAML file. So let's say if we have a dev, then maybe we can say something like application dev.properties, and there all the dev related like configurations we can do. And we have, let's say, application prod dot properties, then there we can keep the production related um, uh, properties. So like, and whatever we want to activate, we can just say spring profiles active equal to whatever dev prod or whatever, so that we can give. And the common ones which will be used in any environment, so those properties we can give to the main application properties. So yeah, so that is how we can manage with profiles.
Okay, okay. So, how does Spring Boot handle dependencies?
Yeah, Spring Boot uses starters dot web and all. So starters to simplify the dependency management. So uh, they are set of pre-configured dependencies designed to help us to get started quickly. For example, if I need to build a RESTful web application or web services, so I just include Spring Boot starter web dependency. Okay, and if I have to include is JPA related, Spring Boot starter JPA we can do. And if we have to do for the security related all the jars and dependencies, then we can just say stream boot spring to starter security. So that is how we do that in like, suppose if we are using Maven, then we can give these dependencies, and that pulls in all the necessary libraries like spring mbc junction and all the related, like even tomcat server, so those things will be pulled automatically. So we don't have to manually explicitly list down all the set of dependencies which is required. So one starter dependency is enough.
Okay, suppose if I want to disable any specific auto configuration classes, so how can I do that?
uh, that we can actually do in the properties file. So there we can say spring like dot exclude we can say, and whatever the class we want to exclude, we can mention that class over there, so that will exclude it.
Okay, any other way is also there
uh, Other way,
within the Java class?
yeah, I think in add rate of spring boot application, so there I think we can mention exclude, and whatever the class we want to exclude, that we can add. So yeah, so that is another way.
So, what is the difference between at the rate of REST controller and controller?
Yeah, add controller is used to define a controller class where methods return views like MVC. Okay, so like JSP and all. So it is mainly used for web application with server side rendering. Okay, and REST controller is a, like we can say, kind of a specialized version of at rate of controller, so that returns the data directly as JSON or XML, so instead of views. So main difference is controller returns views and this returns the JSON or XML. So it basically combines the add the rate of controller and add the rate of response body. So the add rest controller is the combination of these two.
So how do you handle exception in a Spring Boot?
Yeah, in Spring Boot we can use add the rate of controller advice and add the rate of exception handler to handle exceptions globally. So that keeps the code like kind of more clean and that we don't have to do repetitive try catch blocks. Okay, so whatever the class we do, uh, we use for this. So on top of that, we can give add the rate of rest controller advice, and then again within the class on top of method, we can give add the rate of exception handler annotation. Whatever, let's say the resource not found exception we want to give through, so that we can give resource not found exception dot class we can give uh, under this add rate of exception handler, and then uh, uh, we can do the response entity so that we can return here within the method. So yeah.
Okay, so in SQL, what is composite key?
Composite key, we can say that is a primary key and that is made of two or more columns. So usually we keep only one column as a primary key, but suppose combinedly we have to give the primary key, like the combination of multiple columns, then that is called composite key. So it uniquely identifies a row in a table using a combination of columns. So let's say for example in a student course table we have suppose, and then student ID or course ID, uh, I mean suppose both are not unique, so in that case we can just use the combination of these two, student ID and course ID. So those combination I mean we can make as a primary key. So that is basically nothing but the that we say the composite key. So yeah.
Okay, when we use where and when we use having clause.
Yeah, where clause like that filters the row before grouping, and that is used with raw data basically. So it cannot be used with aggregated function like sum and count and all. Okay, and having is like that filters the group of aggregation, and that is used with group data. So it can be used with aggregated functions only. Okay.
Okay, and what is the difference between union and union all?
Yeah, union combines the result set of two queries and that removes the duplicate rows. Okay, so basically internally it performs a distinct operation, but union all combines the result set, but it also includes the duplicates. Okay, so it does not have to remove the like duplicates. So yeah.
Okay, and which one is faster? Union or union all?
Uh, I think union all should be faster because after combining the result set, it does not have to remove the duplicates. So basically, union is the like kind of slower.
Okay, okay. So you know stored procedure?
Yeah, I know it, but I have not written on my own. So basically, a stored procedure is a like pre-compiled collection of SQL statements that is stored in database. Okay, so from our Java side, we can simply call that stored procedure and we can run it. Okay, so we don't have to write the whole bunch of queries. I mean, in our Java. So directly we can call that a stored procedure. Okay, so basically it allows us to like the the whatever the logic is there, so that we can keep it separate in database itself, and that we can reuse it multiple times. So that basically improves its maintainability and security. So yeah, so that's what I know about a stored procedure.
Okay, okay.